Try now. There we go. Hi! Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm the Reverend John Cullinan, your minister here. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and gather together in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are at this moment, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome to be a part of our community. I want to extend a special welcome this morning to any visitors or first-time or second-time guests we have among us today. I'd like to invite you to join us for some coffee and conversation after the service in the fellowship hall. I would love to meet you, introduce myself, answer any questions you have about our community here, and then turn right around and come on back in here for the return of our forums at 11:45. Welcome back to that. And now, take a deep breath. Feel yourself centered as we begin this morning's worship. In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. And in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask what's in it for me, we come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, give thanks, to laugh together, and to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment and the next, to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. For this hour and in this space, let us be the change we wish to see. Come, let us worship together on this beautiful morning. Would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 347. Please remain standing for our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant in each and with all. Please be seated. Candles have been lit this morning in remembrance and celebration and in gratitude for all our wizards, witches, professors, and muggles during our first Wizardry and Wonder class this morning. For all our joys, all our sorrows, whether we share them aloud with one another or we hold them close in the quiet of our hearts, let us be together in a moment of silence. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we have set apart so that we might become more fully present to ourselves, to each other, to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit, manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe, let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with an everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
Thank you. Oh, there it's on. Yay. Okay. If any of the young or young at heart want to come up for a Time for All Ages story here, you guys can come on up. If you're a wizard, a muggle, a witch, a magical creature, a professor, you are welcome to come on up to our space here. So we're going to do a Time for All Ages. So I need y'all's help this morning, okay? Come on up, come on up. Thank you, thank you. So let's pretend this morning that we're going on a boat. Can y'all pretend that we're going on a boat? Okay, so maybe we are going on our boat into the ocean, or maybe a river or a lake. You decide in your head which one you want to go on, okay? All right, so what color is your boat? Anyone? Anyone? You got a color? What? Blue. What's your color? Green and orange and red? Oh my gosh, a multicolor. Yes. Red. Ooh, red because it's the color of Gryffindor. These kids were just over there at the Hogwarts this morning. Yes. Okay, so we got lots of cool colors. What does your boat look like? Does it have a sail? Yeah. Does it have a motor? No, no motor for you. Okay. Magic to move? Oh, yeah. What do you think? Wind. Oh, yes. Wind. That's a good one. Okay. Is it a big boat? Do you have a big boat you're on? Is it small? Yeah. What do you think? Medium. Medium. Maybe medium. Yours medium? Medium. Oh, we got a lot of medium boats, big boats. Raise your hand if you have a big boat. Medium boat, small. What's a small? Yeah. Okay. All right. We got some variety over here. And where do you want to go in your boat? Think about that. Think about where you might want to go. Think about that in your head for a second. So sometimes when I am in a boat on the ocean, yeah. Do you know where you're gonna go? Oh, yeah, you're going to go to Hogwarts. Oh, lots of these kids are super ready. Huh? Other side of the lake, yeah. Awesome. So sometimes when I'm in a boat on the ocean, especially, I like thinking about all the other people across the ocean in different countries. Do you ever think about that? Like if you're looking out on the Atlantic or Pacific. So looking out over the ocean lets me think about my connection to all the people that live on our planet Earth together, right? So everyone, we all live on this planet together, right? Everyone and everything on this planet is connected to each other. Think about that. Oh my gosh. We're all connected. We are connected to the plants, to the animals, and we humans are connected to each other on this planet, and muggles and wizards and witches and magical creatures. Oh my gosh. Now, let's go back to our boats. Think about our boats. What if we think about our boats as ourselves existing on this planet together, with so many other people existing as their people boats? So each of us is our person boat, okay? So think about that. So how do you think we should treat each other if we are all sailing around in the same ocean on the same planet? What do you think? How do you think we should treat each other if we're sailing together on this planet? Yeah, Aspen. Kindly. Ooh, I like that. Any other ideas? Gotta watch out for each other? Respectful to each other? Ooh, these are good answers. Yes. So our boats might all be a little different. And so we have to be kind, respectful, right? And that is what makes living on our planet and in our communities and in this church community so awesome, is that we're all a little different. Our boats are a little different, right? So all of our different boats that we exist on will sail in their own way and their own path and might be different colors, shapes, sizes, right? And that's okay. Actually, it's more than okay that our boats are all different. So our boats, what if they bump into each other, and then we can maybe sometimes apologize when that happens and make it better by helping that person, right? And in our boats, we learn and we grow, right? So, and how do we know that we are all connected and that we all belong to each other? What do you think? How do we know that we're connected to each other? Yeah. Ooh. We live on the same planet and it connects us. Ding, ding, ding. You got the answer. Yes, yes, we are connected. So we are sailing in the same water, right? On the same planet, like you said. And we all live in our boats on our beautiful, say it with me, blue boat home, right? As we sing, we have a song that sings that, our Mother Earth, right? So that is how I know we are all belonging to each other and that we're all connected. So next time you guys look out over a body of water, an ocean, think about those connections you have with people that live on the other side. Think about the connections you have with all the people in your schools, your workplaces, your communities, your church connections here. Think about all the connections we have with our friends here at church. So today's intention table activity, we're going to be making origami boats, right? And adults can do this too. And we'll do it in the fellowship hall after. That we're going to float in our little pool in the fellowship hall after the service. So we're going to float our little boats. So come make your boat and remember that we're connected. Yeah. You made an origami one already? Oh, cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, I have instructions and paper, and we're going to go back to the intention table and do that together too, okay?
Welcome back. I know most of us never left, but this is our first Ingathering in 3 years today, which just seems too long a stretch of time. Tina and I have both been kind of in a tizzy and a panic all week, trying to remember how to set up the start of a year and set up the classrooms and make everything ready, and I'm sure we're still forgetting things. It's strange after that amount of time to come back into a space, to come back into one another's presence. If this is your first time here with us today or your first time back since we've reopened the sanctuary, I wonder today what that feels like for you. Is there a sense of relief? Is there some trepidation, perhaps, of being amidst all these people and wondering how things are going to go, and is it safe still to be here, or is it some mix of the two, relief and trepidation? Do you feel somewhat still lost, even when we're back in familiar territory? Because the last several years have been a struggle, I think, is an understatement for many of us. We've become somewhat unmoored. Our ships, all on the same water, are all just kind of adrift in their own directions, maybe occasionally bumping into each other, maybe just wandering in circles. Our sense of self over the last several years has become disjointed. Sociologists are just only about now starting to really delve into the effects of the pandemic on our sense of self and our sense of community. There's a recent study by a sociologist named Guido Alessandri in Italy who did a study on the lives of Italians throughout the pandemic and on their sense of who they were as everything locked down. And Italy locked down a lot more severely, a lot harder than we did here, even, at least at the beginning. And what they found were some interesting things. First, people who had a very strong sense of self, they had a strong sense of clarity about their self-identity, were much more reactive to the change in the way we were living, to being locked down. They resisted, they fretted, they fussed more about it. It was a bigger, sharper change for people who had this very, very good sense of self. But they noted that eventually, people came back to some sort of equilibrium over time, back to some clear sense of self over that time, but it took much longer than it normally would because of something they identified as, and I love this phrase, and I'm going to be turning this around in my head for weeks to come, I can tell, emotional inertia. Once we fell into a state of how we were feeling in this time of trauma and panic and strangeness, it was hard to get off of that emotional seat we were sitting in. We felt stuck. It took much more. And for peoples whose sense of identity came from their social interactions, from their various spheres of social setting, the more disrupted those social circles became, the more inauthentic people felt about themselves. The various circles of their identity peeling off one from the other. And the reason emotional inertia was so deep-seated is because the loss of connection to some of those various social spheres didn't give us an oomph, a drive, a reflection to move along at a pace that we might like to. In other words, we became collectively, your mileage may vary, of course, unmoored from our sense of self, falling into a sense of not knowing if we belonged to our own self anymore. Are we our own, or are we just ships getting pushed along by the forces of history? Are we there just to be of service to our jobs, to our other social spheres? Humanity in general became disconnected from its sense of self over this time. You may still be feeling some of that unmoored sense today. But here we are, 3 years on from changing drastically the way we do things here in our own congregation, and now we are starting to come into something that we might want to call the new normal. I don't like that phrase, but it's so apt at the same time. We are getting resolved to a sense of COVID being with us as a thing. The new variant boosters are out there, and they're now just referring to that as your annual COVID shot, like your annual flu shot. They've already just put that label on it. We're getting used to being in an endemic time. So maybe we can start to breathe again. Maybe we can start to allow ourselves to have the time to regain that sense of belonging to ourselves. The storm has mostly passed, so it's safe to maybe drop an anchor down, start to reconnect to that thing that is most deeply us, whatever it is that lies at our center that we're trying to get to in our own life of faith. We have time and space and room to breathe again. We can get back to living into being more fully human. And that's our purpose in a religious tradition. The minister A. Powell Davies, who for many years served our All Souls congregation in Washington, D.C. back in the 40s and 50s, was quoted as saying, "Life is just a chance to grow a soul." And so here we are, getting ready to reach back to our own centers, but we cannot do it on our own. We won't do it on our own. Because much like we felt inauthentic when we lost connections to our various social spheres, we need others to find ourselves. We need to see our reflection in the eyes and the emotions of others. We need others to push us off of our stools and get moving along out of that sense of emotional inertia. We are all, at the same time, floating on this ocean, journeying back towards this sense of our center. And we share, at the heart, the same center. We are all stardust, made conscious. We are all coming from the same source. And so as we try to regain a sense of belonging to our own selves and the sense of our own wholeness as an individual, we cannot help but come back into community to regain that. Jewish theologian Martin Buber said the real beginning of community is when its members have a common relation to the center overriding all other relations. The circle is described by the radii, not by the points along its circumference. In our search for our own center and our connection to the heart of all things, we are connected to one another in that circle by the center that we share. And so we come back into community because we can't help ourselves. And if we're lucky, we get to choose the segments of the community we get to come back into that feed us the most, that give us the strongest connections to that center, that give us, as I've been saying for weeks now, the space and the grace to become more fully who we are. Do I like rhyming couplets as a rhetorical device? Yes, I do. In regaining our sense of self, we are returning to a sense of belonging to ourselves and to one another. We belong to one another. We cannot help it. This time of reemergence, though, is 90% just remembering the words, remembering the dance steps. We got to rehearse a little bit. That's what the last year of church has been for me. I know what are the things that I used to just have in my head that I could recite off the top without having to look at them. Where did I put the offering baskets? What order do things go into? Have I remembered to print off everything I need? All the little detail steps that make a Sunday morning happen has been a struggle up a hill to get back to where we are. And it's the same with the sense of our belonging, both to ourselves and to one another. We've got to start flexing the muscles again now that we are coming back into one another's presence. We have to do the exercises to remember what it means to belong, especially to one another. So I want to give us this morning some reminders of some of what it takes to belong, to keep in front of you, to think about as we all rehearse together, coming back in full, in the fullness of ourselves to community. First of all, to belong is to be courageous. Because to belong to a group like this is to understand that we are going to be transformed. The deeper we dive into the heart of ourselves and our community, the more we reach out towards that center that connects us all, the more whole and fully human we become. We will not be the same people we were when we walked in the door at the first moment, minute to minute, week to week. And that's frightening. So to belong is to be courageous in stepping forward into that plumbing of the depths and be willing to be transformed. Not in an unmoored way, but on a purposeful journey with one another, possibly as a tied-together flotilla. To belong means to bring your dreams of what community might be into the whole group. To have a vision for yourself of who you might be becoming, of who we might be becoming together. To have a vision for yourself of what that looks like, and at the same time, to belong means to be satisfied with a sense of disappointment. Because my dream of community will never fully come true. It might appear in bits and pieces, but I am dreaming alongside other dreamers. And our sense of community might intersect at some points, and we may have varied visions of what it is that we are building together. And we need to be ready sometimes to let go of bits of that dream of who we are. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said those who prioritize their dream of community over and above the community itself are the ones who eventually contribute to the falling apart of the community, because we cannot let go of our own individual desires for who we are, and we miss what we're actually building together in the process. And so to belong to one another is to come into community with a sense of gratitude already prepared for what you know you are going to be given by those around you, for the contributions that you are going to receive from your fellow travelers, from all of their fragmented, imperfect selves to your fragmented, imperfect self. And when we come with gratitude and we accept those pieces and we let go of what might not be working for us anymore, to belong means to hang on to a sense of wonder and surprise for what grows where you least expect it, for what we build together that you might not have dreamed of, but that serves us all so well and makes the world a better place. And wonder for the ways that our shared dream may already be coming true. And because dreams do not come true just on their own, to belong is to have a sense of deep commitment to those you belong to and who belong to us. A commitment that leads to action, not just outward, but within the community as well. Because what we're building together needs maintenance, needs the occasional remodel. What we are building together and traveling together on needs navigators and officers and cooks and deck swabbers. It needs everybody's skills together, shared, to keep the dream alive, to keep the community going, to make this all possible in the end. And because it needs our commitment, belonging also needs a sense of accountability. That we have come here with a purpose, that we will act on our purpose, that we will keep our promises to one another in service of the bigger thing we are trying to build together, of the journey towards the center, towards the wholeness of ourselves that we are all reaching toward. That's it. That's our task for the year. That's all. It's going to take practice. It's going to take work. It's going to take a sense of grace for one another as we all try to remember how the song goes and all the dance steps with it. But it is time now to return to that sense of belonging to ourselves and to one another, because the belonging is already there whether we are aware of it or not. And so as we come together again for this first time in 3 years to say this is who we are together, this is my prayer for all of us, that who you are, who you've been, who you are becoming, will find a place at this table we have made. That we find ourselves anchored once more to that common center we share, no matter what we may call it, the earth, God, the spirit, the great heart at the center, our values, whatever name you give it. That we find ourselves anchored once more, and we find ourselves defining the wider and wider circle by the depth and the breadth of the connections to that center. And that coming together to live again, to grow our souls, we bring with us all of our courage, all of our dreams, our joys and our hurts, all our gratitude and our wonder, all of our commitment, because we belong to one another. So this morning, we're going to take some time to signify just some of that commitment here. We're going to commission this morning all of our lay leaders. It's not something we've done in church before, and I don't know why I haven't done it, but it's time to start a new tradition. As a congregationally based tradition, all power in Unitarian Universalist churches comes up through the congregation and is bestowed upon the leaders, including the ordained leaders, to carry out specific service for the good of the whole. Today, then, we take this reality seriously and formally bestow upon our chosen leaders the authority they need to carry out the works we have assigned them. This moment is an opportunity to give our blessings to the ministries these people will provide in the coming year and to affirm their sense of calling to the roles of service they claim as leaders. These leaders need our blessing if they are to do what we have asked them to do. These people need our affirmation and support, for they are no different than the rest of us, yet they have entered into the ministries of leadership for all of our sakes. And so at this time, I would like to invite the elected members of our board and our Religious Education Committee to come forward, as well as any other committee chairs we have among us this morning, and all of our religious education teachers as well. If you could please come forward. We'll try to get everybody up here on the chancel. Congregation, your reading parts will be up on the screen very shortly. Let me sneak through you here. And if you take one and pass it down, because there's your part for later, I'll give you your cue. I said we need rehearsal. I lied. We're just going to do this. These are the people we have called to serve us. Will the congregation please rise in body or spirit and join in this service of commissioning? We, the members of this congregation, charge you to be guided in your work by the vision we express in our mission and vision, our affirmation, and by the principles we affirm in common. We charge you to affirm the dignity and worth of all persons and to champion the rights of all people, that this might be a free church open to all people. We charge you to cherish our spiritual diversity and to help us to live together so that we are strengthened rather than divided by our religious pluralism. We charge you to hold in your hearts the needs of the wider community in which we live. Members of the board, you are charged with keeping sight of the big picture, with holding our vision, honoring our past, and guiding us toward our future. Are you ready and willing to accept this charge? Yes. Committee chairs, you are charged with keeping sight of your particular piece of our community's mosaic, with advocating for the needs of the area of our communal life, which is your specific concern, and working with one another for the common good of the whole. Are you ready and willing to accept this charge? Yes. Teachers, you are charged with nurturing the minds and spirits of people across the span of generations, helping to build a people who will bring justice and compassion to our congregation, the community, and the world. Are you ready and willing to accept this charge? Do you, the members and friends of this congregation, affirm these elected leaders as volunteers who need your support, your participation, and your appreciation, as well as your caring and concern? Yes. Grateful for your willingness to take on the responsibilities of leadership in our community, we affirm your calling and vow to support your ministries of leadership in every way we can. We encourage you to take care of yourselves as you take care of us, and to remember that you are part of this community, even while you lead us. And if you would read what you have in front of you. Thank you for serving us this year. Go and do good work on all our behalf. Thank you. I want to invite Kelly Shea up at this moment to give us a few words about this month's recipient for our collection. Let me have you come up to, yeah.
I'm Kelly Shea. I'm the co-chair of the Social Justice Committee, and I'm also the co-lead for the Afghan Family Sponsorship Group that we're collecting funds this month for with Share the Plate. We partner with the UUs of Santa Fe, and Gail Wasserman in Santa Fe is my co-lead on this project. I want to thank the folks who have already volunteered and for all the generous donations already. We have a beautiful family, and they had to start their life all over again once they got to the U.S. So we're still looking for some funds as well as for volunteers, either in an official capacity or an unofficial capacity. There's a little more paperwork for the official capacity, but so please talk to me during the coffee hour if you're interested in volunteering, or if you think you can help with anything to do with the family. And then also, of course, we need additional funds related to the purchase of a car, assistance with rent, assistance with medical needs, and all sorts of other things that crop up. So just the family starting, they've been here a year in the United States, but they are still kind of starting over and need as much help as possible. So really appreciate all of your generous volunteering and donations. And if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me after. Thanks.
And so it's time for our offering. During the month of September, all the cash and undesignated funds we receive will be given to the fund for our Afghan refugee family. You may give in the basket this morning, in the donation box at the back of the church if you need some time to think about it, or on the Givelify app, which we will total up at the end of the month. May what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. We have a lot coming up now that we're kicking off the church year, so some announcements this morning. First up, our forum returns after its absence this morning. After the service, we'll get kicked off at 11:45, give you a little time to have a chat and some coffee before you come back in here. And this morning we'll have an update on the situation in Ukraine. Next Saturday, we will be having a multi-generational event, Karaoke for a Cause. Sing your favorite songs inside, outside. There'll be some refreshments. We're asking a suggested donation of $5 to $10, and all of that will get added to the pool for our Afghan Family Fund. On Sunday the 18th, we are putting together an outing to go see The Secret Garden at the Little Theater. We've got, I think, 7 of our members and friends involved in that production, and so we're going to gather some people to go see the Sunday matinee next week at 2 p.m. Dave Height is going to be arranging that. I'm not going to recite his email address to you now because you'll forget it, but watch your emails and our Facebook page for the contact info on that. Tickets are $18, $15 for seniors and students. So that'll be coming up next Sunday. And then the following Sunday on the 25th, James Carroll will be back with his biblical scholarship classes starting after the service at 11:45. I believe those are going to be happening in the fellowship hall, not in the sanctuary afterwards. So that's enough. We got a lot going on. That's a good start for the month. So that is collecting items for the migrant shelter in Deming. Tyler is coordinating that here on our behalf. We're going to have a box up soon, and if you have questions, I believe you'll be happy to answer all of those in coffee hour. Friends, would you all please rise in body and spirit and join us in our closing hymn. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.